How's it going? Welcome in. It's episode 5 of the You Like That Feels Great Baby podcast. I'm Erik Stenholm alongside Joey Moore. Crazy week 11 to recap. We'll go into week 12. We'll give you some picks for next week, and we'll give you Joey's wildest take, his Feels Great Baby. A lot to get into this week. Vikings were on a bye. I don't know if you knew that, but they were idle last week, so I feel like we should start with the 49ers since clearly nothing happened with the Vikings last week. Niners trained in Colorado Springs at elevation, went down to Mexico for Monday Night Football, and Santa Maria. What a beatdown in Mexico City.
How's it going, buddy? Yeah, I feel pretty great. Last night was what it's supposed to look like when you draw it up with the players that they've acquired, not only from the past recently, also, yeah, that's what it's supposed to look like, but feels very great.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts down there. It was fun to watch. They kind of started slow, but really from like the middle of the second quarter on, you were like, this is exactly, and that's why John Lynch was losing his shit in the press box.
That was a great
Because
video.
he's like, this is exactly what I have been building. Like, you as a fan must have been like, whoa.
He probably should have said finally, because the only guy they've added, a big piece, McCaffrey, but I mean, this team was struggling on offense for a good part of the first half of the season.
Mhm.
And finally it started to roll like it's intended to. And yeah, you said it went exactly how they want to play. Like, get a lead 14-3. I mean, they made it 14-10, but get the field goal at the end of the first half. And then the second half, credit to D'Amico Ryan's third straight game of the shutout.
I wonder when the last time was that happened in the league, because that's an insane stat. They haven't given up a second half point in, what is that? It's like almost 100 minutes.
Not since they gave up a lot of second half points to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, we're both, since we started this podcast, the Vikings and Niners both 3-1. You had your bad moment at the very first podcast when Mahomes carved you up, and then I may or may not have had something.
They were
week.
idle.
Yeah, I didn't see anything. I didn't really get any texts from anybody either. We must have been on a bye week, I guess. But looking at the schedule for the Niners coming up, now that you're 6-4, you own the tiebreaker over the Seahawks. After that performance in Mexico City, you got to be feeling like, hey, the NFC is there for the taking if we play like this more regularly.
NFC, I'm not sure. Like, I still think it's going to be difficult to, I mean, forget Philly, but to catch your Vikings, I just don't see that happen. They'd have to go. I think they'd have to go 5-2 at worst to catch them for a 2 seed. And again, still have to win the division. I mean, like, Seattle's not going to go away. A big game in Seattle, the Thursday night game,
Right.
Their Thursday night game of the year. But yeah, they have 7 games left. 5 are at home. The next 3 are at home. They don't leave the Pacific time zone again. Their only 2 road games are at Seattle, which has been a house of horrors ever since I can, turn on the TV and watch football. And they go to Vegas, which again will be another home game, because every single person I know that has any interest in the 49ers is trying to get tickets to go party on New Year's Day in Vegas to watch what an absolute clown show that's going to be in that city. Pray for the airports, pray for the hotels. Yeah, but the schedule, the travel, they went to Mexico, or like you said, Colorado Springs, Mexico. They're done with that. They have, they should beat the Saints this week, barring something catastrophic.
Mm-hmm.
The week after that, Miami. Hell of a game. Win or lose, hell of a game. Get to see our good buddy Mike McDaniel, who's got their offense humming.
Oh my God. We're a big McDaniel podcast. We say that every week, but like every week you're like, is he going to turn Tua into the MVP? And it's like, man, did the Niners have a hell of a coaching staff in 2019?
Look at if you look at some of those like expected yards per attempt, all that stuff, like Tua's like damn near first in all of them. Mahomes is there, but like, okay, given. Joe Burrow's also there, but Jimmy Garoppolo's right up there. Like, the man is playing the best football he's played in his career. He shows up in the pink suit looking like everyone's dad out there. Daddy. Like,
I saw that clip.
If he's gonna play the way he played yesterday, look out. I'm trying not to get like hopes up because like it come crashing down next week. He could throw a bunch of those,
You could lose 40-3 next week.
Exactly. Yeah. But like that's why people get excited about like. Granted, it was Arizona, and super looking forward to Hard Knocks tomorrow night to watch this train wreck. But yeah, it's supposed to look like that. And not only was he not just a participant, they made him play. Arizona, they would do the 5 and 6 man guys at the line of scrimmage. You're not going to run, and I've never seen the Niners. I don't have the fancy stats to back it up, but go 5 wide like that often with Jimmy, and all it was
that's not part of Kyle's offense. Yeah,
all it was man to man, and it was like, can Isaiah Simmons cover Christian McCaffrey on a slant in the slot? No, he can't. Can their backup corners? They had Buda Baker's a really good player, but Byron Murphy was out. They had backup corners like the former Raider Trayvon Mullen. Like if Brandon Ayuk killed him on a couple slants in the red zone. He
looks so good right now.
Like. And even just the off-schedule stuff, the first touchdown to Kittle, like it's like, run, what's he gonna do? Usually he gets get happy feet and panics, maybe a turnover. Nope, just boop. And it's like if Jimmy's gonna play like that, it's like, okay, like wow, maybe he just doesn't care. He's like, you guys have tried to trade me. He's like, you guys have tried to cut me, replace me, all this stuff, and he's like, I'm still here. He probably feels invincible, and he also probably knows he's making himself quite a bit of money.
And looking good coming off the bus is an understatement. He comes into the game yesterday in Mexico City wearing that red suit, pink suit, whatever it was, and they show him getting off the bus. And of course, my wife Jamie immediately is like, "Whoa!" And
my wife also,
yeah. Immediately they pan to Colt McCoy, and you're like, "That poor guy. Why are they doing that to him?" Colt, journeyman, just trying to. Put together a decent performance on Monday Night Football, and they do him like that to start the game. I thought that was hilarious, that clip, when I saw it. But yeah, man, this is his moment right now. Even more so than in 2019, he is getting his due with everybody. More. Yeah.
I mean, good for him. I mean, again, it could come crashing down, but what does bother me though is like I was watching the talk shows this morning, and they're like, still like, is he going to be the reason why they don't win the Super Bowl? Like, they're look at all these weapons. Is he going to be why they don't lose? I'm like, okay, is he like a superstar? Like, absolutely not. No one's pretending. But can we like after his performance not lead with like, is this guy going to eventually blow it? Like, I don't know. Yeah. It's just like same thing. I'm sure Kirk Cousins is like, it's never because I throw the ball like on time.
Right. Yeah.
It's like the
ball did you see
some other quarterbacks this week? Did you see them?
Yeah.
Did you see the ones in New York?
I mean, yeah. Zach Wilson, Daniel Jones last week. Mac Jones was awful. Matt Ryan was awful. I mean, there were when you look around the league right now, you start to get an appreciation for your quarterback if you have even just a mediocre one at this point. Like the Panthers are starting Sam Darnold this week after starting Mayfield the week before, PJ Walker the week before. It is a tire fire over there. And it's champagne problems for, you know, Niners and Vikings fans right now. Like,
you're right. And I actually think I give Kyle and John a lot of credit the way they like it. Sure, there's no way he comes back if he felt like completely disrespected by how they went about. There's no way. Like, I don't care what the money. There's no way he decides to stay here after all that has happened to him, trying to get rid of him. If there wasn't some type of like relationship there that was positive. I think what he's probably more, if maybe I'm totally wrong, but what I would be more upset with him is not only did the Niners trade him, they trade for Lance to replace him. Like you just said, how many teams said no to him this offseason? I don't care that he was hurt. Like, just Deshaun's not hurt, but Deshaun had his whale of problems. And it was like, no problem. Like, if they think you can play, like, he was always going to be healthy before week 1.
Right.
And these teams all run most of the same offense. Like, look at Cleveland. Your season's done before Deshaun. What if you would have paid Garoppolo $6 million to go, like, keep your season alive? Carolina, Matt Rule, you might have a job if you had Jimmy Garoppolo. Mike Tomlin, you might be a playoff team if you had Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm
going to say this very quietly. Denver.
Yes.
What?
Somebody I saw today. Denver, if they had Drew Lock, would be a playoff team, and
I believe
they had the numbers to back it up.
So here's a stat I saw.
But you're right, Denver.
If
All of
Denver
them.
had
Indy,
scored if
Washington,
Denver had scored 18 points in every one of their games this year, 18, they would be 9-1. It's incredible. I mean, who wouldn't?
Not only are we a Mike McDaniel podcast, we're an anti-Russell Wilson podcast.
Which I never thought I would, because I used to like the guy, and now it's all just completely fallen apart. And that contract is, whew. We go from the 49ers and their incredible week over to the Vikings, who I've been pretending it was a bye week. You're trying to convince me that it's just a blip on the radar. I did see a lot of negative stuff, but my point is, in the 40-3 loss to Dallas, obviously things spiraled out of control early. For me, it was Christian Darrisaw, our first-round pick, our left tackle, who to this point has been graded the number 1 tackle in the NFL on PFF. He goes down with a concussion in the first quarter. Immediately, the offensive line just completely collapsed, and it was a runaway freight train for Dallas from there. So obviously a ton of negatives that I could take out of that game. But my overarching thought is, this is a team who's had basically no injuries the entire season. We had 3 or 4 different weeks where we didn't even put out an injury report before a game because there was no one that was even questionable. It's been extreme injury luck to this point. And then we have our first significant injury where our starting left tackle goes down and the thing completely unraveled. So a lot of things we got to look at as a Vikings team right now, but probably a good idea to put it in the rearview mirror, especially with a game coming up in a couple days on Thanksgiving against Belichick. You got to just put that behind you, right?
Oh, you said it. My biggest thing was Christian Darrisaw. Like you said, he's been awesome this year. Back-to-back weeks, I think, with a concussion, or was it 2 weeks?
No, it was
2 out of 3.
back-to-back.
Back-to-back weeks with a concussion. I'm no doctor, but probably not going to play 3 days from now, especially after with the Tua situation. Whether or not he's feeling good or not, they're probably just going to say, we can't have it.
Absolutely.
Big problem when the NFL sack leader, Matthew Judon's coming to town. Bill Belichick. Yeah, but going back to the Dallas, I think it was Kirk Cousins' most time he's ever been sacked, 7 times, I think I saw on the broadcast. The line caved. And again, it's people want to blame Kirk. It's like, sure, could he have been better? Probably, but it's hard to throw the ball when there's 3 guys grabbing at your legs because they can't protect. And it's not like Dallas is rolling out, me, my mom, and my dog at the defensive line. Like, they'll get after whoever's in front of them. But yeah, that was the biggest thing. And then just defensively, they could not cover Tony Pollard out of the backfield.
Right.
I think it was on the second one. The second one I think was Jordan Hicks. Just wheel, not even a wheel right. He just ran by him, and that's a tough matchup for him, Hicks. But yeah, Tony Pollard killing him in the passing game, and Dak was good and was really good. But if I was you, I wouldn't panic too much. It's not like you lost to Denver like my Niners did, or Chicago or Atlanta. You lost to. It was a score, but who cares?
So my buddy Johan, who listens to our podcast, he was saying,
shout out Johan.
Yeah.
I never met you, but
good dude, used to work with
winner.
him, big 49er fan. He was like,
I didn't even know that.
You should do power rankings, because he was telling me you still have to have the Vikings in your top 5, right? And I said no. So here's my top 5 as of right now: Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Dallas. That's my top 5. I think the Vikings, just because their 2 losses were to Philadelphia and Dallas, who are both top 5 teams, so I get it. But when you have a loss like that and it becomes so clear that any one injury can affect your team to this extent, I don't think you can put them in the top 5. I would probably have them 6th, 7th, 8th, somewhere in the Miami area there. So if you were to do your top 5 power rankings right now, how different would it be from mine?
I would definitely have Kansas City number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, I'd probably have Dallas number 2.
Wow. Okay. I had them
Um,
5.
Like they're, and I'd probably have. This is one that wasn't in yours. I would probably have Tennessee 3.
Wow.
Like
Ahead of Buffalo. Ahead of Buffalo.
Oh, I again, power rankings. I think Buffalo's got a good chance to win the Super Bowl. Not easily, but like right now on whatever today is, the 22nd of November, no, I can't put them in the top 5.
Wow.
They're we'll get to this later, but I'm not entirely sure they have a happy Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And like it's something's a bit off. I mean, they easily could get it back on the train back on the tracks, but no, I wouldn't have. I'd probably have
Philly. It's got to be in the top 5. And then the Niners.
I'd probably have Niners 4 and Philly 5.
Yeah. You mentioned Tennessee. I mean, that game on Thursday
I wouldn't even have Buffalo ahead of Miami. I wouldn't.
Wow. I feel like the consensus around the league is that Buffalo is clearly the second best team.
They should be.
Yeah. I mean, but the results haven't always matched the expectation. I get it. Tennessee.
Josh Allen has 2.5 times more interceptions than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Always got to bring it back to Jimmy and his stellar season.
I mean, he's him.
Himmy G. I saw that yesterday. I was like, I am going to be hearing that for weeks now. Himmy G.
It is going to be until he overthrows somebody.
Yeah, over the middle. He tries to throw it to people, and it's a pick to the safety, and then you'll be like, he is no longer him.
I would be like, where's Trey?
So you mentioned the Titans. You have them 3 in your power rankings. I probably had them maybe 8 or 9, but they're definitely trending way, way up. That game last Thursday against the Packers, we were texting back and forth during that one. It was just a beatdown. I mean, it was what a team Mike Vrabel always seems to put together. Right now, I mean, you got before the season, they were basically written off as a regression candidate. There's no way they're going to be in the conversation again, and yet here they are. Hell of a coach.
It's a big win for the organization. I mean, they dealt AJ Brown, and everyone's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, it's doubling down on what we do. Like, yeah, we're not going to pay a receiver. Like, not that they said this out loud, but like, Tannehill's not throwing the ball over the yard. Why are we going to pay a receiver, $25+ million a year? Mm-hmm. Invest in, Treylon Burks, who I'm not a Tennessee Titan, follower every single day, but I think that probably was his best game of the season.
Looked
one
great.
of them. And Derrick Henry's not fun to tackle in December, January. Offensive lines Tannehill looked really good. He had that one I texted you. I was like, what was that? The interception just totally unnecessary. I think it was like 2nd and 1 in Packers. It's like, no. Yeah. But he was really good. Defense is just, the attitude from Vrabel. Like, I mean, the only thing that went wrong was their offensive coordinator had a few too many brewskis and, whatever. But, probably shouldn't do that. I love Tennessee.
Kansas City last week, we had them. You wanted them -5.5. They didn't cover, but they did get the win in dramatic fashion. And I feel like the consensus around the league right now is that Mahomes has wrapped up the MVP. Maybe a late charge from Tua could get him there, but I mean, he is just flat out killing it right now. I feel like, that was first of all, it was a kind of a tough week last week. Not a lot of like great games, and then the Sunday night one was an awesome game, but Mahomes probably. We need to have this discussion. Like, does he not get the respect he deserves? We said last week maybe he gets LeBron type, respect from the media, where it's like, yes, he is great, but we're not going to give him the MVP this year because this guy had a great year. Oh, maybe not next year because this guy had a great year. Like, are we losing the forest for the trees here and not just accepting Mahomes is the best player in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly it's LeBron fatigue type thing, but I mean, to start with the MVP thing, I mean, I think if it comes down to him and Tua, the thing that everyone's going to say is like, Tua got Tyreek, like Patrick lost him and put up as good, if not better, numbers than Tua did, and probably wins the division. Very potentially get the 1 seed. Kansas City still got. I looked at the schedule. Kansas City still got two games against Denver. They haven't even got them yet, and so
this whole Kansas City Invitational, every AFC Championship game is going to happen again.
Invitational. It's like Buffalo, you beat them, and I'm like, oh, everyone's like the game's going to be there, and it's like, and then Buffalo loses to, they lost to your Vikings, but that's even a worse game. I thought before
Miami,
it's like,
yeah.
Well, they're like they're not even going to win their division.
Oh yeah, they lost to Zach Wilson. We forget about that.
Yeah, they've lost twice in the division. They're not even going to win the division potentially. And now you go not only at Kansas City, you're going to have to maybe go before them. You probably have to go like at Baltimore, Cincinnati. Like, yeah, no, it's the Chiefs.
But all the talk before the season, especially among like advanced stats people, is like, watch out for the Chargers. And also, Denver's pretty good. And, the Raiders, they were 10-7 last year. Like, it's not going to be the same old Chiefs. They might be better than they were the last 2 years. It's like people underestimate how much a player like Mahomes means.
I saw the memes and all the videos of people who were citing the offseason like, the AFC West spent like $500 million to challenge Patrick Mahomes, and it's over before Thanksgiving. And it's like, yeah, it kind of is. And no, he's better. If you were starting a franchise tomorrow, how would you not take him?
Yeah, everybody's like Burrow or Herbert. Who would you take if you were starting? And I'm like, hey, Mahomes is like what, like 3 years older than those guys, 2 years older? You take Mahomes 100 times out of 100.
Yeah, Herbert's an interesting one because he doesn't have any like negative anything about him, but like they don't win. And like people point at like, whatever, ownership, GM, like Brandon Staley, it's like, it's very fair. But like, I think
it's now year 3 for him and no playoff games.
And on the opposite end, like kind of Mahomes, everyone likes to say, oh, he had Alex Smith, a nice little runway with Andy Reid. And it's like, or he was just going to dominate. Like, yeah, sure, those guys help, but like he was going to dominate with whoever he had. And Herbert did not play, play bad at all, like Sunday night, but it's just, it's just the Grim Reaper.
Yeah. He does not lose on the road in the division, 14-0 in his career.
That is nuts.
That's one of the crazier stats. Other than Denver, if they would have scored 18 points, they'd be 9-1, which is an insane stat. One more thing before we get to your Jack and the Bum of the week. So last week, we were all over Detroit playing against the Giants. We have said it for weeks that the Giants are pretty fraudulent. So it was kind of expected when they really just completely fell apart against the Lions. They're huge underdogs in Dallas on Thanksgiving this week. So with that in mind, I'm going to float something by you here that our friend Nick Wright over at Fox Sports floated earlier this week.
That's the dude who I got the $500 million thing from.
So the Vikings got clobbered 40-3 by Dallas. Dallas is very unlikely to be hosting a playoff game because Philly has such an easy schedule. So Philly's going to be the 1. The Vikings are going to be the 2. Very likely the Niners will be the 3. The Bucks will be the 4. Dallas will be the 5. And then you'll have some combination of Giants, Seahawks, 6 and 7. With those 7 teams and those 7 quarterbacks, are we discounting the possibility that after all this, it's still going to be Tom fucking Brady in the Super Bowl?
There's a chance, but I still like
when we get there, and it's
if you go by your theory,
right? He would play in the first one against Dallas,
and I know they won in Dallas beginning, but I think Tampa's more hurt than they were. I don't know.
Tampa Bay has an easy schedule in the set, and now that they're off of their bye, if they get the 3 seed, then they would play, Seattle or New York. So say he plays Daniel Jones or Geno Smith.
If he plays Daniel Jones,
then the next round he would play Kirk Cousins or Jalen Hurts, and then the next round he would play again Kirk Cousins or Jalen Hurts or maybe Jimmy G. But in all of these games, There is not, other than Jimmy, who's playing really well right now, there's not a quarterback who has had any measure of playoff success in the NFC. And the more I look at Tampa's set schedule for the rest of the season, how things are breaking with the Giants are just, they've banked too many wins. They're probably going to make the playoffs. Seattle's banked too many wins. They're probably going to make the playoffs. We need to keep in mind that he's 45, but the GOAT has a path, and it was not there 3 weeks ago. They won against Seattle and Munich. They won against Atlanta, and now we're like, oh boy, are we looking at yet again?
Well, a couple weeks ago, I was convinced my feels great baby was that the Bucks, Packers, and Rams were all going to miss the playoffs. Well, looks like 2 out of 3 of those are going to be right. I mean, yeah, of course it could happen. Like, of course it could. Yes, I mean they're still decent. I mean, and he's going to be by far, obviously. I mean, you could put him in the AFC. He's going to be the most, experienced, winning. I mean, he won't be the best, but he's going to be the most prepared.
Yeah, but that's my point is if you put him in the AFC, Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, Herbert, Burrow, all these great players. In the NFC, it's like Hurts, Cousins, Jones, Smith, Garoppolo, Tom Brady.
I mean, people, that's to me, that's like an NBA conversation. It's like, oh, you start naming players, and it's like, I think that's, I don't know, maybe that's just being, kind of looking at the Niners perspective. Like last year, oh, how's he going to beat Aaron Rodgers? Like, well, how is Aaron Rodgers going to move the football against this defense? He's going up against the Vikings. Like, is Tampa going to stop your offense? I mean, there's 52 other guys on the team. Is Tom Brady at 45 years old going to go to the freezing cold in Philly and win? I don't care if Jalen Hurts has no playoff wins or not. I mean, it could happen.
I'm just workshopping.
It could happen.
It's a lukewarm take, but the more I look at the list of quarterbacks, there will be 7 that make the playoffs in the NFC, and 5 of them are going to have no pedigree. Jimmy has, 5 playoff wins? Yeah, 5 playoff wins at this point. And then,
is it really 5?
Wouldn't it be 2 in 2019?
I think he's got 4.
Oh, 4, yeah. 2 in 2019, 2 in 2021. But still, it's
a 4
big
times
goal.
As many as Dak Prescott.
4 times as many as Kirk Cousins, and an infinite amount more than Jalen Hurts, who's 0-1. So that's just one thing that it crossed my mind. I saw Nick Wright make this big long point about it, and he was exasperated. He was like, "It's gonna happen again for the 11th time." I'm like, well,
he's undefeated since his wife cheated on him.
Yeah, and people, this is a very, very lukewarm take, so don't take it at face value. But this guy needs money. Like, the whole FTX
I was talking about that with my dad.
Oh, it's a problem. So everybody's
she has to be paying him, right?
Yeah. This guy needs money. Bad things have happened to him in many regards in the last few months.
Is this another Phil Mickelson?
Oh, quite motivated right now to find some kind of solution.
So you mean the Niners aren't going to get him at a discount next year?
He's going to be playing until he's 55 if this whole FTX thing is as bad as it appears on its face. I was thinking FTX could be a candidate for your Jack in the Bum of the Week.
You're going to have to, honestly, explain to me what exactly that is. I don't really follow the news that much. I just heard it's bad.
Oh,
I don't know exactly, I don't know why it's bad, but I heard it's bad.
It's just, him and Steph Curry and Larry David and all these famous people put a bunch of their personal wealth into that company, and then it folded. It just completely went under last week. I guess the CEO was kind of misleading people or something, but the whole thing fell apart. And there's
Fire Festival.
Yeah, it's the Fire Festival of crypto is exactly what happened. And it's like, Tom may be playing for another 10 years with that whole fiasco. Let's head over to your Jack in the Bum of the Week. Obviously, every week we have a ton of candidates, and you're like, wow, so many candidates again this week. But I'm going to say my candidates would have been everyone on the Vikings. So everyone that wore purple last week, the Giants and that fraudulent performance against the Lions, And the entire Jets-Pats game, which was just an abomination unto God, one of the worst football games ever played. And then, of course, Russell Wilson, who's now 3-7. And I don't know if you've seen this TikTok, but this guy updates every week. Russell Wilson touchdown passes for the Broncos versus how many bathrooms he has in his house. Currently trails 7 touchdowns to 11 bathrooms. Poor Russ. He's 7 touchdowns so far. He's on pace for like 12. So I hope he can go over 11, or that guy's going to have a field day with it.
This is when we need to have your brother on, because he'd be able to talk about this. But I heard this too. Like, he's going to get Nathaniel Hackett fired.
Yeah.
And like, have you ever, before I get to the bum of the week, we're getting there. I know everyone's waiting for it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like Mahomes, like eventually you would think Bieniemy gets a job. Like Brian Daboll got a job with Josh Allen. Like, you know, Stafford got Kevin O'Connell hired. You know, McDaniel, all these guys. I mean, McDaniel had Jimmy and he got a job. Like,
yeah.
Russell gets everyone fired. Like, look at his coordinators.
Yeah. You look back, Bevel.
Yeah.
Yep.
All of them. Like, none of them get hired, and they all get fired, and they never get a job. And they're like, and then they're probably in these interviews, probably texting their buddies in the league, like, dude, like, no one's going to believe me, but like, I work my ass off every week just to have Russ tell me, like, these plays suck. Like, and Hackett will get fired. Like, is he a head coach? I'm probably not, but like, bring somebody else in. Like, I mean, Sean Payton would never take the job, but if Sean Payton goes in there and Russ is still losing, like, just another thing, just like, why is it never your fault, Russ? Like, all these guys, I don't know.
Not
the same guy,
good.
Shane Waldron. I mean, he had him last year. He's probably like, oh, thank God I got Geno, and he looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's all completely falling apart. You're going with a different person with the same last name as the aforementioned Russell Wilson.
Yeah, it feels like everyone's joining this party this week. I could have gone Vikings, but like the Raiders a couple weeks ago, there's so many people, can't pick one. Like you said, Giants, the Jets-Pats game. Unfortunately, when I was visiting my parents in Reno, that was the local game, so I had to watch it.
Not a good time.
But I got a good look at the Jack and the Bum of the week. The Jack and the might be the biggest bum of the week. Zach Wilson. What are you doing, my guy?
What happened?
See, I don't know if James copyrighted that. Shout out to James.
We love that guy.
Love James. Buy his merch. Anyways, what happened? Like, was it negative 21 passing yards in the second half? They averaged like 2.7 inches per play. Like, again, your play was garbage. Your play was hot dog water, Zach. But your post-game interview, like, not my problem. Did you let your teammates down, Zach? You know, they balled hard. You know, 3 points. You know, in New England. You know. Unfortunately, tough day at the office. Do you think the offense let the defense down? No. And it was quick. It was like, no. Like, they did, like, you know, a little whatever. Like, and it's just the way he looks. He doesn't have a beard. Like, he looks like he looks like he's being grilled about, you know, like, why he put the pizza in the oven and left the cardboard under the frozen pizza and, like, burned the kitchen down, like, as a kid. Like, he looks like he's in trouble, Zach, for that.
Why did you not do your homework? How could you?
Like, he just and it's like, you go back to the reports, like, you went to BYU, you know, maybe kind of a, you know, sheltered. I don't know what it is. He kind of comes. The reports like he's kind of like a, like, just, I don't know, can't read the room with, like, teammates, and just people don't in scouting, they read all these, like, official, like, ESPN, whatever. Like, they're never just going to write, like, people have said he's a dick. Like, they got to find, like, a fancier way to say that.
Struggles to read the room.
Like, yeah, that's the best. Like, he had such an opportunity to say, like, you know, yeah, you know, I just starts with me. Got to play better. Josh Allen did it a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Like, I played like shit, hard to win. Like, yeah, you didn't play well, but, like, okay, you're going to figure it out. Like, accountability. Zach, like, you're going to get benched for Joe Flacco.
or Mike White. Yeah, it's. I
You
mean,
have to. Like,
whew,
they benched Elijah Moore for popping off to whoever, like complaining. Like, Garrett Wilson's post game interview sounded like he wanted to throw hands. Like,
and
and
can you blame him? I mean, he's open and
Dan
like,
Orlovsky for ESPN did a great. It's like he said, like, I don't know if he knows the plays. And there was one I saw too in the game, and I like did one of those like Leonardo DiCaprio, like, memes where he's like pointing at the TV, like, hey, what's from that movie,
yeah,
that like Hollywood movie, whatever
yeah.
it was. He's like, hey, and it was like this screen pass, I think, to Michael Carter, I think it was,
Mhm.
and he like kind of looks right and then throws like this sidearm, like no look, and it just goes like a shortstop airmailing the first like third row in the crowd, and like you see the receiver who's not even the guy he threw the ball to, like on the bottom of the TV screen, like it's bad. It's so bad. And it just you get so much leeway if you just say like, hey, starts with me. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna fix this. Defense balled out, coaching staff coached their ass off. I'm gonna be better. And he's like, no. Like, huh? Like, have you it's like in Madden, and you play like your like create a player mode or whatever, and you get to do those like interviews now, and there's like options, like it's like press A, you could like say the team friendly thing, press B, you could say I don't care. He pressed the button that said like nuke the locker room. Like, say the worst thing I could.
And it started a firestorm across every sports network, whether it's FS1 or ESPN. Every time you flip over, it's Stephen A, it's Damian Woody, it's Nick Wright, it's whoever, just going off on him. And you can't blame him. I mean, obviously he played terrible. It was against a Belichick defense. I get it. Really tough opponent. But with
The Jets have lost to the Patriots 14 times in a row. I thought the Rams losing to the Niners 8 times was a lot. It feels a lot less since they won the biggest one. But 14?
yeah.
You're not going anywhere losing in your own division 14 straight times.
Some of those are with Cam Newton too, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, wow. But with his post-game answer to that question, I think he may have just thrown away his entire future, whatever he would have had in New York. Like, it's got to be over. Like, if Mike White comes in this week and wins, or stabilizes things a little bit. I mean, I don't understand how
it wasn't as like I don't know the word, like aggressive as like a Baker Mayfield thing, but like it is. Like, what's the difference between now Zach Wilson and Baker? Like, there's another person, Johnny Manziel. I mean,
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield accomplished a lot more than Zach Wilson has.
So rough. Absolute tire fire week for that guy, and he's got to get a lot of things straightened out if he's ever going to make it work there or anywhere else. Been a really tough start to his career. Let's move ahead to week 12, take a look at the lines, see if anything stands out to us. The first one is the first game, 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern on Thursday on Thanksgiving. Buffalo at Detroit. This game, 3 weeks ago, we would have been like, oh, Buffalo by 1,000,000. Now it's Buffalo. Yeah, Buffalo minus 10, which I still think is pretty damn high, and you do too.
I think it's very high. Look out for the fighting Dan Campbells. I'm not going to have the cojones to pick Detroit to win the game outright, but I sure as heck am picking them to cover.
Absolutely.
I know Buffalo's been in Detroit, obviously, so like there's no travel or whatever, but when you're like just not home for that long, like, and your schedule's kind of messed up, this time it'll actually be a road game. They're playing the team that's
right
in Detroit. And I mean, if Detroit can play any sort of defense, I like them to cover.
Yeah, that was number one on my list of games that I was like, that seems a little bit out of whack. Unfortunately, last week, the game that everyone, and I listened to a ton of betting podcasts, everyone was like, why is Minnesota not favored at home against Dallas? Well,
I thought that.
Yeah, that did not go our way. But this week, I think a lot of people are going to be on Detroit with that big a number. Another one that I think a ton of people are going to be on, including us two, Tennessee is playing Cincinnati. It's in Tennessee. And yet since he is favored by 2, I like Tennessee +2 there. I think the wrong team is favored in that game.
Tennessee's going to get after Joe Burrow. In Tennessee, who knows the weather? Derrick Henry's not going to be fun to tackle.
They got more rest.
Oh, yeah, more rest. Yeah, big Tennessee. Third in my brand new
Power ratings. Yeah, obviously I'm a big Tennessee guy, but wow, having them at third is pretty high up there. Baltimore at Jacksonville. Baltimore's -4. Their offense was awful last week, but their defense was basically perfect the entire game. I feel like this is a get-right game, even though Jacksonville's off a bye. Baltimore can kind of sense Cincinnati nipping at their heels. They got to, especially with this being Lamar's walk year, they got to put some distance between themselves and Cincinnati. He's got to, put up huge numbers so he can get that big contract. I think this is a get-right game for Baltimore, so I'm looking at them -4 there. You said Houston at Miami. Miami -13. 13 is not enough for you.
No. I was trying to think, like, what would have been the line? I don't know. It might have had to be close to 20. Houston is so bad. Houston is so bad. I mean, I love Miami. I mean, potentially a trap game for them. Maybe McDaniel's getting ready to face his former boss. I don't know. But it's at home in Miami.
Off a bye.
Yeah, there's no way. They're going to be rested. Yeah. I mean, Houston played at home against Taylor Heineke and got blown the doors off. So
we should mention the Vikings and Niners lines. After we took the Vikings last week, I'm like, I am never taking the Vikings, and you are never taking the Niners again. It's just a kiss of death. Vikings are favored by 3. Thanksgiving, they're the night game on NBC against New England, and then the Niners are back home against New Orleans on a short week coming from Mexico City, so there could be a little bit of a letdown there, but they're -9 at home against New Orleans. So both of our teams favored, the Niners obviously much more so. Seems like a get-right spot for both of them. I probably wouldn't take either with the points, but I expect both of us to win next week.
Yeah, it'll be a gnarly pod next week if they don't.
Yeah, if you lose to Andy Dalton, that would be rough.
But you're right. The Mexico, the travel, the altitude. I mean, the Colorado Springs to Mexico City to Santa Clara, short week. I mean, it's pretty. I wonder. I mean,
there's more argument for New Orleans +9 than there is for SF -9 with all those factors.
I mean, if I had to bet this game, New Orleans +9 would be the move for me. But yeah, I mean, the Niners are lucky they're playing a team, kind of on the struggle bus, because with all this travel and stuff coming back, could have been more daunting. But
one more game I want to take a look at, and not to reveal something to my fantasy football opponent and co-host, but I am adding Kansas City defense in every league. They play at home against the Rams without Matt Stafford. That line is 14.5. You said maybe you could switch the 4 and the 1 and make it -41.5, and you still might take it.
I mean, the Rams are so bad. They're so bad. Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, it's almost one of those games. It's like, are they really gonna call the dogs off in the second quarter, and it's not as bad as you think it is, and there's some ridiculous backdoor cover,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who the Chiefs played next week. Maybe they have a game they're maybe looking forward to. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be bad if Kansas City wants to play and shows up and doesn't go on a team bender the night before. Yeah, they should roll.
Yeah, without a doubt. So I think we've got our 5 picks lined up, but we'll see. Some other candidates there. I was thinking maybe Tampa Bay -3 at Cleveland, or Atlanta +4.5 at Washington. Tampa Bay coming off a bye. I think Brady wants to get rolling in the second half. The schedule only gets easier. I believe they finish with Atlanta and Carolina, both at home. So he wants to get right. And then Atlanta +4.5 at Washington. At some point, Washington's going to slow down. This win streak has been against I mean, Philly was a quality win, but a lot of the other games that they've won since they switched to Heineke have been kind of fluky. So I thought 4.5 maybe was too many points. Before we get to what the final 5 picks are, anything else we want to talk about in other sports this week? Obviously, I am obsessed with the World Cup, so I have some hot takes there. But anything NHL wise you want to bring up? I mean, people do watch sports other than football, I have learned.
Oh yeah, biggest news of the week. The biggest news in the Bay Area last night was the Sharks rolled the Ottawa Senators.
In front of tens of fans.
Five fans saw that.
Good seats still available
for all the games, all of them.
If they reanimate, Gordie Howe and Wayne Gretzky and put them on the same team, and they come to play a one-off game against the Sharks, it would still get like 6,000 fans. Not good.
It's been a long fall from grace. Anyways, the New Jersey Devils are on an absolute heater, 13 in a row. Yeah, no, I mean it's Thanksgiving week's always an interesting week because a lot of stuff usually happens with trades and stuff because as they like to call it in the hockey world, this is the American Thanksgiving because there's so many Canadians. They're like, they don't call it Thanksgiving. They call it the American Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see. Potentially maybe the Sharks trade the best player in the league, Erik Karlsson, for something.
Oh, knock on wood.
On pace for 116 points.
He is trying to get out of there, and I cannot blame him.
If that's the motivation, hey, good for him. I don't care. Gonna hopefully do your taxes next year in a different address.
You've been looking at college football at all? Obviously, it's like
huge game Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you got undefeated Michigan at Ohio State. That's going to be a great game. You got Georgia's basically a shoe-in at this point, even if they lose a game. And then TCU looking like they get the 4th spot if they win out. If they lose, it'll probably be, a 1-loss USC or something like that. But college football is getting pretty good. I'm going to Vegas a weekend after next, and that's the conference championship weekend. And there's going to be lots of debate about, the loser of the Ohio State-Michigan game. Should they get in as a 1-loss, at large for the 4 spot? Been a pretty good college football season, I feel like, and it's nice to not have Alabama in the conversation for once.
Yeah. Other than football, like the NFL getting, just more and more popular for me personally, just because it so fits with being an adult with games on weekends and like gambling and fantasy. And, sometimes my heart can't take the Sharks losing 3-4 times a week. And I just like, if you lose one time, like, okay, 3-4 times a week consistently for like 6 months. Like, as I get older, I'm like, I can't do this. But the other one is college football. I watch like more college football than, I honestly, sadly watch it probably more than hockey this year, even. And I've never said that, but yeah, it's just nice that like, yeah, there's been like some sort of parity. Like they don't need like, the 4 seed in the playoff to get to be like 7-5, like, but like, yeah, to not have like Alabama. I mean, it kind of still is the same, but like there is some juice to the last like week or two with the championships.
Oh yeah.
I think if Michigan loses, they're toast for the playoff.
I agree.
But if
they
Ohio State loses, if Ohio State loses, like somehow Michigan wins, like I wonder if they both get in.
Most professional sports bettors have Ohio State as the number 1 power rated team ahead of Georgia. So you would think the committee would be like, hey, this is the clear best team in the country. They have to be in as an at-large if Michigan wins. But Michigan's not going to win that game. I mean, I'm setting myself up.
I was actually shocked. I saw the line was like -7.5, and I'm actually kind of shocked it's that close.
Yeah, it should be. I thought it would be like 13 because Ohio State, if they want to,
especially because their running back Blake Corum got injured. But yeah, USC, I think they came out today. They're at 5. I mean, if they win out, they might. Well, no, they wouldn't. They wouldn't past TCU necessarily if TCU wins out, because TCU I think's got Iowa State this week. They should win. If they don't, they're done. But if they win that, they play in the Big 12 title game, and then if they win that, they're an undefeated conference champion. And I don't care if you're, whoever you are, if you're Power 5 undefeated conference champion, you're getting in.
Mm-hmm. And then it would be USC getting in over the loser of the Ohio State-Michigan game.
Yeah. Unless somehow Michigan wins. But I just don't see there's any way Ohio State doesn't make it, even if they lose. Outside chance LSU makes it, which is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they beat Georgia in the SEC title game, they would be, and they didn't make it. I think they would be the first SEC title team to not make the playoff.
Yeah. No, that's another one too that people don't talk about enough is if they win out, which they're not going to, but if they do.
Which they're not. Like
it's like we're like, if Michigan loses, I'm like, which they will.
If anything can happen in college football, it's like they won't. But yeah, you're right. I mean, we talk about it like it's like what crazy that would be, but betting line probably Georgia minus
20.
Yeah.
17, 20. Something huge. Yeah. Today was a crazy day in the World Cup. It had been mostly chalk to this point. The U.S. game against Wales. I told you we have a complete nincompoop at coach, and that's exactly what happened. We come out flying in the first half. United States is just seemingly unbeatable. The Wales coach makes adjustments at halftime, and they completely dominated the second half. Terrible coaching performance, but the team itself actually did look pretty good. I was pretty impressed. The game against England on Friday is going to go a long way to determining what the future is for this team. They basically, their path to the knockout round is they have to do better against Iran than Wales does against Iran. It's like whoever scores more goals against Iran is going to go through on goal difference now that they drew. But we did get our first craziness of the World Cup today with Argentina losing to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, a 25-1 underdog to win that game, and they won it. Couple of great goals. I feel for Lionel Messi because he was actually pretty damn good in the game. It was just everything around him was lifeless. World Cup is getting crazy, folks, so stay tuned. Might see another big loss or two this week. I think Germany will have their hands full with Japan. France against Australia today, they won 4-1, but they gave up the first goal, and you could see panic on everybody's face, and I just love that at the World Cup. Like, Saudi Arabia scores those 2 goals against Argentina, and they pan to the fans, and they are ready to jump off a bridge. Like, the emotions are just so high. Oh, my God. These people
Imagine waiting 4 years to just...
For 4 years, they've been waiting, and then they flew 20 hours from Buenos Aires to Doha, Qatar, and spent thousands and thousands of dollars on hotel rooms and tickets.
You know what they didn't spend money on? Beer.
Oh my God. And then of course there's that to bring up too, which was so opening game, Ecuador against Qatar. Ecuador just blows them off the field, like absolutely destroys them. It was only 2-0, but it should have been 5-0. Qatar got every friendly whistle, every call from the ref, and it wasn't even close to enough. But the Ecuadorian fans behind the goal were singing Necesito cerveza over and over and over. Like, we want beer. We want beer. It was the funniest thing. And it's like, this is a weird topsy-turvy World Cup, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else is on. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's probably nothing on TV at the same time the U.S. England game. But yeah, I even me who hasn't turned on soccer on purpose on the TV, I'm pretty excited to watch that.
That's going to be huge ratings.
So they don't have to win it to go to the knockout round. They don't have to.
In the World Cup, you play 3 group stage games. You get 3 points for a win, 1 for a draw, none for a loss, and then the tiebreaker is goal difference. So right now it's England has 3 points, U.S. and Wales have 1, and Iran has 0. Wales is probably going to beat Iran, so they'll be on 4 points.
The U.S. and Wales probably both beat Iran. Iran probably go 0-3.
Right. So the U.S.'s path to getting to the next round is to score more goals against Iran than Wales does, or somehow getting a draw or a win against England. So the motivation is clearly there. Had the U.S. won against Wales, I think they would have
I saw they gave up a late goal.
Yeah, they would have got curb stomped against England because they would have been like, hey, we already got 3 points. All we got to do is like do something against Iran and, you know, we move on. But now the U.S. has to like go balls to the wall to try to get at least a draw against England. So it should be, I expect a lot of scoring and I expect it to be a fun game. And I also expect it to be probably the highest rated soccer game broadcast on American television, maybe ever. I mean, it's a huge one. Unless they, you know, make it to the knockout round and face Brazil or something, this is going to be the big one. This is going to be the one that Fox immediately is like, look, we got 37 million viewers or whatever, to just be like, soccer is real.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I even last night I was watching, like, there was live soccer coverage on Fox like at midnight, and I was like, okay, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, they're taking it seriously. They have that massive set right on the water there, so it's.
I saw former legend Chad Ochocinco there. I'm like, what are you doing here? I mean, I heard you liked FIFA, but they just gave you a job.
Yeah, and they're like, just go to all the games, hang out with people, and take some selfie video. I mean, it's a hell of a gig. I would have taken it if I could get it.
Wow.
And what's funny is all the commentators they're usually British, but some are American for the Fox crew. And they always like do an incredible job of pronouncing all the names correctly. They're like, well, his name is spelled Nathan, but because he's Dutch, it's actually Nathan. Like, they always got to get it exactly right. And so the announcers are like, and we send it over to Chad Ochocinco. I'm like, it's not like there's like some ethnic thing to the name. He made it up. Like, it's not like, you know, his parents were like, yes, we will call him Ochocinco. It's like, no, his name's Chad Johnson. He changed it to Ochocinco. Like, let's not get out of hand here.
I mean, he's A+ entertainer, but they have to do something with Jason Sudeikis and
oh yeah,
and the Ted Lasso. They have to.
They did a cool thing where all 26 players that made the U.S. national team for the World Cup, they put these billboards in all of their hometowns that were like messages to those players from Ted Lasso. It was kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's
but
cool.
I want him to be like on a broadcast or something. Like, say they by some miracle make the semifinals or something, you got to have him on the broadcast at all costs. You need to be like, every one of you needs to be a goldfish. You know, just throw that out there and people will be like, let's go. I'm ready to run through a wall.
Yeah, first thing he's like, I brought cookies. I made them.
Made them myself? Yeah. Oh, that would be sick. Let's pivot over to the You Like That 5 picks of the week. We had our first losing week in podcast history last week. We went 1-3-1. We won with Detroit, obviously, and then Chicago pushed at +3, and then the Vikings, Chiefs, and Pittsburgh all didn't cover. Obviously, the Vikings wasn't close. Kansas City and Pittsburgh, I feel like we had the right side there.
The Vikings, Chiefs, that was me. So I don't feel like I let you down, though. That was
no. I feel like Christian Darrisaw and the offensive line were the ones to let us down.
Like if I was being interviewed about our picks, to be like Zach Wilson. Nope. I didn't let him down.
Nope, not at all. No accountability. All right, here we go. Let's go. The 5 picks of the week. We are going Detroit +10. That's my pick. Like we said before, I feel like they're going to do really well at home, motivated. Campbell's got them playing good football. Buffalo.
Is it not the biggest Thanksgiving game for Detroit? Like,
you know what's crazy is they made the playoffs twice with Stafford and Caldwell, and I still feel like, yeah, this might be like one of the biggest. Like, the Detroit
usually
fans are going to be
usually
there,
they show up to, like, their fans show up to Ford Field like 1-10 and
wearing a brown bag on their head.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I think they won 3 in a row. Like Buffalo, like, I mean, like, okay,
let's go.
Maybe there'll be like an atmosphere, like they'll get some help. I don't know.
I don't think they win, but +10, it's a lot of points. We're rolling with Detroit. Let's go. Miami -13. That's your pick for our second pick.
Yeah, Miami -13, 31. Miami by $1 billion.
I like Tennessee +2 at home against Cincinnati. Like we said, they should be favored in this game. They are the definitely more well-coached team by a mile. Burrow scares you, but if they took it to Aaron Rodgers on the road last week, they got extra rest. They're at home. I think they can handle their business there. I am also on Baltimore -4. Like I said, it's a get-right game for Lamar. The Baltimore defense is really good. They only gave up 3 points last week. The offense needs to get it going, and I think they will. And then you like Kansas City -14.5.
Yeah, backup quarterback for the Rams. No Cooper Kupp. Tough task.
Very tough task. So let's go through it again. We're 11-7-2 so far through week 11 on our picks. Had a tough week last week, but we're ready to bounce back. Detroit +10 at home against Buffalo. Miami -13 at home against Houston. Tennessee +2 at home against Cincinnati. Baltimore -4 at Jacksonville. And then Kansas City -14.5 at home against the Staffordless Rams. Let's go over to your feels great baby, your wildest take that you feel best about at the moment. And these every week have been like, oh, one was about, I think we need to do better about our streaming channels. One of them was like, oh, I think Red Zone is actually a little bit overrated. This week, you're staying at home and you're talking about one of your favorite people in all of sports.
Yeah, I can't believe that. I can't believe that that's as true as it is, because been through a lot of rides with this man, and he looked as pretty, literally as pretty and as good as ever last night. And my feels great baby take is that this is not Jimmy Garoppolo's last ride with the San Francisco 49ers. If he continues to play like this, there is absolutely no way that they let him walk. They can't franchise him. He wanted that in his contract to come back to be a backup.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I want out of here after this year. Well, things have changed. Trey Lance, significant ankle injury. Who knows his timeline? I think he should be fine for next year, but are we sure? And as it has shown out this year with the team, partly how he's played, this team very much has a Super Bowl winning roster. I mean, do they get it done? Who knows? But they have absolutely a good chance. And with how much they're paying some of these guys, they're getting older. You get old fast in the NFL, and there will be a riot in the locker room if he somehow just walks. If the money's close with any of these teams, if he goes, the Jets call, the Giants call, like, he's got a pretty good gig
if the
here.
Jets or Giants call, say, hey, we have this guy Trey Lance available in a trade if you'd like him.
Well, that's the part two of the take. Do they move him? Like, I mean,
he's on an inexpensive deal.
what is his value? I mean, a third? Because the people, like, he's hurt now, and part of the reason why they kept Jimmy, they'll never admit it, is I'm sure they're like, ugh. Like, again, you go from North Dakota State to the National Football League and you don't play. Like, Carson Wentz did it, but he played. And Trey Lance had 1 year, had the COVID year, that one game, his rookie year, he doesn't play at all in the NFL. And then this year he gets a game and a quarter. And he's not getting better. He's not necessarily getting worse, but he's not getting better. He's not getting the reps. There's no way that, as crazy as it is, unless Jimmy just says, I hate everyone here, which I don't think he can possibly say that, because he should already hate everyone here if he really did, with how he's been treated. I mean, you see him, like, the Warriors dance team. Hi, Jimmy. Hi, how's it going? Sit next courtside with his buddies. Like, it sounds like he's got a pretty good gig. And next year he's going to have all the leverage with the Niners for the first time since he got the first contract, when we had nothing, and he came here and finished on a 5-game winning streak, and at the time gave him the richest contract in NFL history. I think it was, pretty sure.
2017 offseason, right?
And but since then, the Niners have kind of had him by the balls, and this year he's like, I'm the captain now. and it's like, what are they going to do? Somebody's going to throw a lot of money at him, but if the money is somewhat close, like, again, he's very clearly very tight with the team here. I mean, for crying out loud, like, Deebo Samuel tweeted out, "Himmy guapo." Like, it's just, I've never seen them hang out. Like, Deebo's been like a receiver. Like, he could be a guy that maybe he's not a big Jimmy guy. Like, there are rumors that Brandon Ayuk wasn't necessarily a big Jimmy guy last year because like receivers, like there's only so many times I even enjoy like catching screen passes and blocking all day. Like I want to catch the ball down the field, and we don't do that. And well, Ayuk's having the best season of his career. Debo's, clearly tweeting about him. I don't see it. He's going to be back. He's going to be back, and we're going to get to look at that pretty face for at least another year.
I saw a few videos that were like, I believe it was at the Jets-Pats game. They're asking people as they enter the game for a TikTok video or whatever, if you could be any player in the NFL, who would it be? And you expect everyone to be like, I want to be Derrick Henry so I can beat the shit out of people. I want to be Josh Allen so I can be invincible. I want to be Tom Brady because I can be the GOAT. Literally every male was like Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, if you could be anybody, who would you be? And it's like, you can't argue with him. Like, the guy has it all right now, and he's about to get paid. And
man, when he shows up in that suit, the one last night, the salt and pepper on his head, the jawline, the smile, and he throws 4 touchdowns and no picks. It's got me questioning things, Eric.
Oh, man. So that's your hot take. This is not Jimmy's last ride. You would think it would be maybe 3 years, $105 million, something like that for him to come back.
Which is crazy because he came back here for 6 to back up Trey Lance.
And look at him now.
No wonder the team leaked it to the media like, are we sure? Are we sure? And then Trey goes down. Everyone's like, okay, God bless Trey, but like, psych. Then Trey, hopefully you get better. Thoughts and prayers. Like, we love you, buddy, but we got him back. The band is back together,
and it's been a really good season. Because just
enough of the I'll stop. Talking about his looks. We talk about his play for just a quick second. Like, that's the thing I think Trey, he really struggled with, is like, Jimmy killed them with the slants over the middle, the accuracy over the middle, and Trey, he could run, he's got mobility, he's got the big arm, but consistently he was barely, if he was completing 50% of his passes, 50, and even the ones he completed, not accurate.
And that's in a Kyle Shanahan offense that's supposed to be really easy to pitch and catch.
Jimmy's improved that, I think, every year. He's damn near at 70% now, and with McCaffrey, it's only going to go higher because he stands, 2-3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, just boop, and then that's sometimes 8, 9, 10, 12 yards, depending on how many, tackles he breaks. But yeah, that's like the one thing I think Kyle was like, if I'm going to run my offense, okay, you have to be able to hit this, which is why he wanted, Mac Jones.
Right.
At least thank God that didn't happen.
Yeah. You want to talk about a guy whose stock has fallen. Man, you made the right choice in keeping Jimmy around. Thank God nobody gave you a Godfather offer in the offseason. Like, there were some rumors Pittsburgh, some rumors Seattle.
Taken that much.
Yeah. What a 2? That's probably all it would have taken.
I would have taken it, a 2. Yeah.
And now look, now we're like 3 years, 105. Does he ask for more? Does he want a 4th year? And you're like, sure, whatever he wants. Pretty incredible. Next week, Niners at home against New Orleans, Vikings on Thanksgiving night against the Pats. I will be in Colorado Springs visiting my in-laws for Thanksgiving. So after we have some turkey and mashed potatoes and all the goodies, maybe I'll be able to sneak some Vikings Patriots without disturbing the household too much, because that's become a very big game after the loss last week. And then what are your plans for Thanksgiving?
Staying home. We're going to be going to my wife's cousin's house here, and big turkey. There one thing I'm very confident, there will be all 3 football games on the TV there, so that's a have to. I will cancel my Thanksgiving plans if I'm not confident.
You just got to get that happen. Daniel Jones, Dak Prescott fix around 125 Pacific.
There's the football for me and the Jonas Brothers for, the wife. And because they're doing the halftime show, I'm pretty sure.
Really quickly before we get out of Dodge. All right. Top 5 Thanksgiving foods. I'm trying to go off the top of my head what I would rank them. For me, number one is stuffing. I'm obsessed with stuffing. I think that'd be my number.
We have this might be the Joey's feels great take because I cannot stand stuffing. I absolutely hate it.
That is one of the worst takes you've ever had.
Like, probably haven't had stuffing in a decade.
Oh my God. How anyone could not like that is beyond me. I go stuffing 1, mashed potatoes 2, apple pie 3, green beans 4, and then turkey 5. I think that's how I'll round it out. What are you going to your top 5 Thanksgiving
That was
foods?
A horrible list.
Oh.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not a big sweets guy, so I don't have any pie, no apple. And I'm also, I don't eat healthy, so no green beans either. Number 1, mashed potatoes for me. Number 1. With gravy, no gravy. I like them, any way you want them. Mashed, scalloped, baked.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
Yeah, I'm a big just tater guy. But specifically mashed potatoes. And here we're going to get super specific. The dark meat, number 2.
I agree.
You got the white and the dark meat, but the dark meat is significantly higher on the power rankings.
I make this argument every Thanksgiving.
If you choose white meat over dark meat, you are a sociopath.
You have no taste whatsoever. It is dark meat or nothing. Okay,
like
all
when
the
you
flavor
cook a whole turkey,
and all the fat is in there.
Like if you cook a turkey, and like big family turkey, and then like you send leftovers home because you got so much turkey.
Mm-hmm.
You send the people in your family you don't like the white meat, and like people you do like get the dark meat. Or if you don't send them anything, like in your house, like my parents would have like Ziplocs or whatever of just turkey, and they were separate the white meat and the dark meat. Like everyone ate the dark meat first, and then we were just left with like bags of Ziploc bags of white meat that were like never put yeah, exactly, never put in a sandwich or anything. They were like the ones that was chopped up and put like in like a dog bowl, a salad, like little increments maybe, or like
I've been having this argument for years with my family, with Jamie. It's like the dark meat is superior in every way. The flavor, every country other than the U.S.
You argue with Jamie, so Jamie's a white meat?
Oh, she won't even have the discussion. She's 100% on team white meat, and I'm like, if you like,
you and Tom can hang out at the divorce club because that's a divorce. That is,
if you like dry, flavorless.
Does Jamie make like the best gravy in America that she dumps the entire gravy thing on it?
That's the thing.
See, there's no way. There's zero chance she eats the white meat with no sauce.
That's what I'm saying. Is the white meat?
I could eat the dark meat with literally
nothing. It's a vehicle for the gravy. It is not good on its own at all. I will not hear any other arguments. Also, mac and cheese, if that makes it to the Thanksgiving table,
I love
that might make my top 5 as well.
Yeah, you're right.
Throw the green beans out of there.
I love mac and cheese, but it usually isn't made in. Mom made a ton of things for Thanksgiving, but that wasn't one of them. So,
cranberry sauce, big fan as well.
I don't like it either.
Yeah, it's because it came from a plant, so there's no.
Yeah, you're right. That came from that wasn't processed. It's not going in me. Yeah. So mashed potatoes, the dark meat, and then third, this was present at all the Thanksgivings, and this might be a little off the board, and it's also very Joey. It is very processed. But the Reese's holiday, like pumpkins that you left over from Halloween, or like you get ready for Christmas, the trees that will already be out there.
Okay.
Those, I will not hear an argument on this. Those taste different. Those are than the regular Reese's. You can't tell me that those are the same. They put something in the holiday Reese's.
They just reach a whole nother level.
I can go to Safeway or whatever and buy like 100 of those. Like put those in my stocking.
This episode brought to you by diabetes.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be 3. What else? I pretty much is mostly just the biscuits. 4 is the biscuits.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the most disgusting amount of butter you could put on it.
Throw some honey on there, maybe. Yeah.
And then
Rounding out the top 5.
just like nostalgic, I did as a kid love, this isn't the food, but like the sparkling like apple.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Whatever.
The Martinelli's apple
Yeah.
cider.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was my favorite because like all the parents and grandparents would all have wine, and then my brother and I would get that, and it was like, let's throw down. We're finishing this bottle right here, right now.
Yeah. I was like, I felt like I felt special drinking those. So yeah.
We would pretend to get tipsy. We're like 8 and 6 years old, and me and my brother are like, yeah, let's have another bottle.
But yeah, that'd be it.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm traveling for Thanksgiving, Colorado Springs. I'll be back late Sunday night, so we're going to record next week on Monday after the Monday night game next week, which is Pittsburgh at Indy.
We could record during it.
Yeah. You want to watch Jeff Saturday and Mike Tomlin square off, you go for it. We'll be recording the podcast and get it out on Monday night. Thanks to everybody who's liked and subscribed and rated and listened to our podcast to this point. We love getting feedback. Thanks to everyone who texts in ideas and whatnot. So yeah, we're pumped to keep this thing going.
Yeah. Last thing, I gotta make a shout out. I forgot your shout out. His name,
Johan.
Johan, what a legend. But not a Niner fan, but could be a legend. I told the family I'd shout him out. But good old Uncle Rick, his Raiders won, so big week for him. It's been a tough season, but was told he listens to all of our content. So
you're the man, Uncle Rick. You're the man. Yeah, 3-7 Raiders. It's okay. It's Josh.
I'd like to say it gets better, but it might not.
He's turning that ship around.
Hey, big Raider guy this week. They're in Seattle. So
yeah, you're hoping for some help there from Derek Carr. I don't know if you'll get it, but Seattle coming off a bye.
Let's go. Let's ride.
Raiders country. Let's ride for Uncle Rick.
Yeah, man.
All right. Yeah.
Is it just me, or are we getting better at this?
We're getting a little better. I think we understand what the people want. We're just giving it to them.
We're just giving it to everybody. Just giving it.
Just like Jimmy gave it to everybody yesterday.
Just gave it to Arizona. Business decisions were made in Mexico City in the fourth quarter last night.
Oh, a lot of them. And by the way, I tied in a fantasy game because they pulled DeAndre Hopkins in the third quarter. I was like, could the Niners have gone with one less touchdown so I could have won that game? But I digress.
Yeah. All right, man. Travarius Ward went after DeAndre Hopkins today. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not. On Twitter?
No, on KNBR. Basically called him steroid boy. Said he was trying to he was grabbing his throat all game, like face mask, and like trying to I think when it was like a running, like on running plays, he'd like go for his knees, and he just like went off on KNBR radio. And he's like, yeah, steroid boy, like, yeah, he was like, he thinks he's still good, but he's not. I'm like, okay, Travarius, there were a couple plays that, okay, you didn't knock the ball away, but hey, he's like, we came here for the win. I'm like, yeah, we did win, but he did, I think, have like 9 for 90 or something like that. I mean, he had the so disrespectful point that costed him 15 yards.
Right. Yeah.
It's a family show, DeAndre. Cut it out.
Terrible call, but I digress. All right. Yeah. We'll see if
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week. Dropping on Monday. Thanks for joining us again, and we'll see you next week.